Now it's time, folks. President Pedro Martinez, we are moments away from his State of the Mound address. Yes, let's go to the podium right now. Here he is, Pedro Martinez. Pedro, good to see you. Pedro.
Thank you.
Pedro, we all have a question for you. Pedro, can I ask you a question, President Pedro?
Yes.
Everyone's excited in the minor leagues. They debuted the robotic strike zone, and I'm wondering if you think that this technology is going to help the state of the mound for pitchers next year in the big leagues.
I believe it will. I believe it will help a little bit, especially with some of the umpires around the league. Some of the umpires are really inconsistent. We need to make sure that we get it right.
Pedro,
I got another one. Pedro,
I have one.
Pedro,
go
Off
ahead.
of that same thing, the pitch clock is going to be instituted as well. Do you think that will help pitchers speed the game up, or will it fatigue them? What's your take on that?
I agree with that. I agree with the pitch clock. I was always a fast worker, and I'm a big fan of the pitchers that pick it up and throw it.
Pedro, right here,
Yes.
Pedro.
Yes.
Pedro.
Yes, sir.
So Max Scherzer going down out 6 to 8 weeks. There are a lot of pitchers that aren't healthy right now. Of the healthy pitchers in baseball, who is the best healthy pitcher in the sport right now, according to you, President Pedro?
Well, right now, I'll probably say Nestor Cortez from the Yankees.
Wow.
Cortez!
Wow.
Yes, lights out. This kid has been lights out for the Yankees, and the ERA doesn't lie. The ERA doesn't lie. So right now, he's the best pitcher so far.
Pedro, I got another one. Pedro.
No. Same thing.
Pedro.
Back to health, sir. You know, health
Yes.
is so important. Rotations, we've seen some injuries out there. Who's the healthiest rotation in baseball?
As I can perceive, I think the Milwaukee Brewers have the healthiest rotation and the best rotation as of right now.
Pedro, one more. Pedro.
Yes.
Pedro, why do you think the Brewers have the best rotation that's healthy right now?
Well, because they have 3 top-of-the-notch starters capable of doing anything, and a Cy Young Award winner. And they're all healthy, and they're all doing their job. I think the reason Milwaukee is playing ball like they are is because of their pitching.
Pedro, one more. Pedro, please.
In Spanish, who's the best Latin pitcher right now?
The best Latin pitcher right now, en español. Ooh, that's tough.
Nestor? Is it
Nestor?
Castro?
Nestor en los Yankees. Nestor para mí es el mejor pitcher que hay ahora mismo.
Okay. Wow. Pedro, please, Pedro.
Una más.
Yes.
He's greedy.
Pedro,
Tell me one more.
No, Pedro, give me a guy that isn't getting enough publicity from people like us in the media that's a great pitcher in your eyes that needs more attention.
Not only he's young, he's talented, and reminds me a lot of Blake Snell. And he plays for the same team. Mr. McClanahan in Tampa is one of the best lefties in the game that we're not talking about, and we don't know much about either.
Wow.
He's a strikeout machine, Pedro.
He's good.
I'm being told that there are people that want in on this media scrum to President Pedro on the internet, on the interwebs, on social media.
Yeah.
So here's a question. Should the league have an allowable sticky substance to control pitches? I've seen way too many breaking balls end up in a hitter's head so far this year. What do you think, President Pedro?
Nope. The league should control what they use. I think using sticky stuff, like you say, it's not really going to help unless we balance it. We need to balance it. If they really need it, or the balls have some work in them, they need to balance it.
President, did you rub the balls down? Did you have, because I see a lot of white baseballs, doesn't look like they're rubbed down. Were the balls you pitched with were
Sorry,
rubbed down?
no, you can answer that later. What do
no.
youth baseball coaches need to focus on for the 14 to 18-year-old kids to right the ship for the next round of players coming up?
Excuse me, can you repeat your question?
Here it is. I'm gonna pop it up. What do youth baseball coaches need to focus on for the kids that are 14 to 18 years old to right the ship for the next round of players coming up? So
How do they fix the game for the 14 to 18-year-olds?
Well, I think they should just teach the kids how to play the game properly. I think they should concentrate on letting the abilities that the kids have to show out there coming to display. They're not giving the kids enough time to learn the game the proper way. And that's probably why we've seen so many different things that the league is trying to do to improve the timing of the game, to actually help the pitchers control the strike zone and all that. That's all because of lack of time playing the game.
All right, one more time, guys. We're all going to ask for Pedro, like we've been yelling his name. And this is what it's like to go to any ballpark with Pedro Martinez. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Pedro! Pedro! Can you sign this? Pedro, one autograph. That's what it's like. That's what it's like going to a game with President Pedro Martinez.